There was a recent incident in which there was an open source competition again. It's known as Hacktoberfest. But in India, there was a video that was created by somebody who told, how can you get a free t-shirt?
Wow.
So that was the positioning that an Indian content creator gave. And a lot of students just copy pasted the same thing, and it was again massive. The kind of student audience, the kind of developer or computer science engineers in India is vast.
But it's really reminding me of the dialogue that Amir Khan's character Rancho had in Three Idiots, where people are being taught how to do assignments and everything and get marks, but skill development isn't really happening that much.
15 lakh engineers we produce every year. But it's very sad to see that close to 2.5 lakh people.
What are the best ways in which young developers can prepare for interviews?
A company needs a good problem solver. They don't need a very specialized engineer out of college.
Will the work of, say, SDE1 and SDE2s in an organization, will that be replaced by AI?
No.
Is it really possible to build an app like a Swiggy or a Zomato using AI? Arsh, welcome to the hot seat by A Media House.
Thank you so much, Korak. Thank you so much. It's great to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Totally. It is absolutely a pleasure for us that you're here. Now, I was going through the kind of a week that you've had, which clearly gave me a suggestion of how your life goes as well. Very, very busy week, packed week, so much so that I've written the details down.
Okay.
You engaged with over 2,000 developers at the DevFest Bangalore this week itself. You attended the Bangalore Tech Summit, the GHCI 2024. So how has the week been like? How has life been like?
Yeah, it's like if you're into public space, right, you need to talk to a lot of people. And for the kind of content that I create, I would want to engage with the audience that I have, right? So that I can get that feedback on ground and understand how the developer community and ecosystem is building, what people are talking about. So you get to hear a lot of these things in the events like this, talking about the events, right? DevFest. So it gave me a chance to speak to 2,000 folks on a trending technology like code migration, how we can migrate code using artificial intelligence or what kind of tools we can develop. That was something that I talked to. So it had an audience ranging from college students to folks who had 10 years of industry experience, who were working as managers in multiple companies. So that's something I did. Then there was an event, Bangalore Tech Summit, more of a government event, how Bangalore can be developed as a tech hub. So I was amazed to know it has been happening from 27 years. Every year, Karnataka government conducts it. Chief Minister of Karnataka was the inaugural guest, and multiple government booths, how government is engaging with these tech companies, how multiple tech companies want to come to Bangalore, how can we establish more GCCs. So the kind of experience was a bit different there. Then there was GHCI, right? I was there for the very first time. I've been engaging with the team for quite some time. It is conducted by Anita Bjork. So it's a diversity event. So majorly talking about women empowerment, how we can bring in more women in tech, how we can kind of upskill women, tell them what they need to do, how they need to do, and how can they build themselves. So it was all in all majorly event empowering women, non-binary and people like that. And it had close to 2,000 to 2,500 folks. So it was amazing experience, yet very different from normal events. But yeah, I got to hear again about AI, cloud, a lot of different technologies. So yeah, this is something that it has been. But yeah, you would include a lot of development stuff that I do. Maybe whenever I sit back home, understand stuff, would work upon my own content that goes on my platform. So yeah, this is how it is currently being managed.
And this is just Thursday. And here you are at the A Media House office with this podcast. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's again yet another opportunity, trying to talk to more people, trying to talk to you.
Yes, absolutely. It's a delight. Now, at a very young age, your resume looks extremely, extremely impressive. I mean, you passed out with a gold medal at NIT Jalandhar. You worked at ISRO. You worked at Samsung. Now a full-time creator with more than 200K subscribers. What propelled you to take this route forward?
When I was in class 12th, right, I didn't have any understanding of how tech works, how things work. I was just more focused upon getting into a good college because that was the only information available. I'm talking about pre-Geo era when we didn't have access to internet. So we have very limited access to internet. We just prepared from whatever we were having from books. But once I went into college, right, so there I got to interact with a lot of folks. I was from NIT, and from NIT you get to, like, in an NIT in India, so the people from across states. And when you talk to those people, and these technologies like blockchain was very new at that time. And when I was in college, I was just getting to know what is Bitcoin. It's just 2017. We were talking about Bitcoin, and when you understand the concept, the white paper that went behind Bitcoin, so that was something that amazed me, right? And within college, the academia started. So combining the academia knowledge plus learning a bit about tech from across friends, across media houses, across news channels. That was the initial point when I was in first year of college. Before that, I didn't have any background of tech. I was just a person who did my physical education education in class 12th, no tech background, no coding, but it's just that everything started in the very first year of college. Yeah. And after that, like, then I thought of, let's deep dive into it. In the first year of college, my major focus was getting a good CGPA, right? Because I was coming from a school, the mindset was same here. You need to get a very good CGPA because you need to show it to your parents and they'll be happy, right?
And also because admission in forthcoming.
Admission for the upcoming, because there was no set goal. I want to do this in life. I want to do this in life. I think let's go ahead and get that good CGPA, because I felt that I was not good at anything else. I was not good at any extracurricular. I couldn't dance. I couldn't sing. I couldn't go out in public. And I can just sit down and I can study. I've been very studious from across years, like from my schooling and stuff. So I was very studious. So when I was in college, the same thing happened. It's just let's focus on how can you build your good CGPA, right? That was the only thing that I did in my first year. So that gave me an advantage somehow. You have a good CGPA in the first year. I kind of, the entire batch of 700 to 800 students got the highest CGPA from all of them. So that gave me an edge going forward. I can try out multiple things in the coming years because I already have that big number in hand. CGPA is good. Even if I get a lesser CGPA in the upcoming years, so that number would be somehow nullified and will be okay. So then I thought of, how can we build that coding culture in my college? The coding culture was not very good. So after every year you have a summer vacation. So after my first year of college, I had that summer vacation again. So in that summer vacation, what I did was I created a WhatsApp group with a group of my friends. In that WhatsApp group, we used to post, I used to host that WhatsApp group and I used to post a coding question. Right? So that coding question every single day, and we close to 8-10 folks were there. So 8-10 folks used to solve it and we discussed in that WhatsApp group. So it started from that WhatsApp group. Right?
And this was in first year of college.
After once the first year ended, so summer vacation. So this started in summer vacation. We did it for close to 30 to 45 days. And we had a very good rapport with each other and we could explain things to each other, and we're liking the subject, if somebody wants to understand computer science. So there's a topic known as data structure algorithms. So we used to solve these data structure problems. So these are majorly how to test your problem solving skills. And if somebody wants to get into these tech companies, so we'll talk about it later maybe, but this is something that I practiced on. Then when the college started, right? I think this is something that I am passionate about, and I think I have helped these 8 folks or 10 folks to build a community. And now how can we formalize this community in college? So I went ahead in college. I was in the college. Let's go and establish this as a coding club in my college. So I just went to a faculty coordinator, talked to her. How can we establish this as a coding club in my college? Because I want to expand it a bit more, right? I don't want to expand it till 8. I want to expand it to 50 or 100 or 200 more folks. So that was again a long process, because convincing the college authorities is not something that's everybody's cup of tea. So you need to go through a lot of hard work. You need to present your case, why you need this club, what's the thing. And I was from electronics and communication. So EC is something that people consider to be the toughest branch of engineering. Electronics and communication is the toughest branch of engineering. And most of the EC folks tend to go to computer science jobs.
Right.
So because there are no good companies coming to hire EC folks in my college, so everyone, my seniors, will study computer science subjects and will go for computer science jobs. And I, being from EC, wanted to establish a coding club in my college in the second year. So there's a lot of fight between a lot of clubs and stuff. So the things happened. But eventually, after 4 or 5 months, we were able to formalize that club and we got an official recognition. And then my journey of public speaking started. I'm not good at dancing, I'm not good at singing, but let's go and speak in public. As in, let's say I would conduct a lot of workshops. So what I did was the different subjects: cloud, Android, web development, data structure algorithms. Although I was not proficient at all of these, but whatever I knew, right? I used to collect, let's say, 40-50 students in a classroom and teach them on a Saturday or Sunday. So that's how it started. This is cool. I can see the numbers coming up, numbers growing, and people are liking what we are doing. And it is entirely student led initiative, and I was leading that. So that's something that initiated that conversation. I can go and speak in public. Then after that, I tried each and everything. Right, I was like emceeing in every event of the college.
Wow.
After that, so that gave me confidence. So be it a fashion show or a nukkad natak or something. So I was the one who was.
Oh, you were emceeing the fashion show also?
Yeah, I was emceeing the
And the
fashion
dance
show
competition also?
I was doing the dance competition also. I was doing the conference also. There's some official tech conference happening. I was emceeing that also. The official MC of the college is Arsh Goyal.
Yeah,
So that happened after that. Then I got an opportunity in college. This like Google has something known as Google Developer Student Clubs, right? Nobody was aware in my college. There's no coding culture. So I was the only one who applied for it. So it's like Google selects a few individuals across colleges. At my time, it was like 172 colleges. They selected leads. So it's like Google Coding Club's lead. So I was selected in that coding club because we were already doing a lot of stuff, conducting workshops, talking to a few folks and they interviewed me and I was selected. Now I had that brand name. So the club that I formed now, it's Google's Developer Student Club. So now it got more recognition. People wanted to associate with that club. We got more recognition, and through that club again, I got to learn. So Google, what they used to do is they used to conduct our trainings. They taught us, and we internally taught the students. Like they were train the trainer sessions. So in those train the trainer sessions, they taught me what is Flutter, how can somebody build on Flutter, how can somebody build on cloud, how can somebody use GCP, how can somebody use Android. So I learned it through Google, and then I need to deliver it to students. So that was something that happened. And there's so many perks and benefits. I was invited to a summit in Goa. Just imagine, third year of college, you're going to a fully sponsored trip to Goa. You're staying in a 5-star and you're showing it off to your friends. So that's something that happened, and it was again a like fully sponsored, and that's the opportunity that I got. Then things happened, right? Everyone in the college knew me by the same name. Is somebody who talks about tech, who talks about coding, who talks about engineering, who conducts a lot of events, who is being seen roaming around the college with a piece of paper taking permissions from everyone for anything. So that's something that how it happened. Then third year came in. Majorly people are more focused on career. Then a lot of companies started coming to college for internships, right? This is not aware of the kind of skills that I have are okay for an internship or not. So the 3-4 companies that came in for the internship. So there was Microsoft that came in first. So I cleared the test, but was not shortlisted. I don't know why. Then Amazon came in. So I was not the 3 questions. I was not able to solve 1 question. Third company that came in was Samsung, right? So I was able to solve the question, and subsequently the interview rounds also. And the competition was very fierce because this is a third company coming, and Microsoft and Amazon would have taken around 5-10 students only. So this is a batch of 400 people, and the competition out of 400 folks, Samsung selected just 3 folks. So I was one of them. So I got an internship at Samsung. And then I thought of now let's see, because most of the people tell if you get an internship in any company, right, after that you can get a pre-placement offer there and you'll be fully settled, right? You don't need to worry. Then I again thought, let's explore more. Now internship is sorted. Then did a lot of things again. I started learning machine learning. At that time, machine learning was in trend. People are talking about ML. Go and learn ML. So there are platforms like Udemy or Coursera. I did multiple courses there. Then I thought of how can you get an internship. So I started cold emailing a few folks, right? How can I get an internship in ML? So I would have cold emailed a lot of folks, gathering email IDs here and there, putting in efforts, then sending out emails. So there's a company in Japan. So it was BitGrit. It was again a startup who was building products in data analytics and data science. So the POC reached out and we had multiple interview rounds. I was selected for the internship. I did that internship. Similarly, a few more internships I did. Got the major thing, COVID happened. So 2020, 6th semester, we all were sent home. And my Samsung internship was about to begin, but everyone was like, will it happen or not? So what I did was, so company moved the internship to a virtual internships. We did that virtual internship. Nobody was aware how things are going to happen because we didn't have any infra to conduct this. This was peak May 2020, peak COVID time, right? Everyone was very afraid sitting at home. So we did that internship. Again, got a PPO. So in the meantime, I participated in a lot of hackathons. So there was a company known as Mintra, in whose hackathon I participated. I got a prize money. There's a company known as American Express, in whose hackathon I got a prize money. Company known as Lowe's group of companies. So I tried and tested everything, went ahead and participated in whatever I can see. So I got a pre-placement offer from American Express. I got a pre-placement offer from Lowe's group of companies, like easy 20 lakh salary package in the beginning of college, and like everything was again sorted. So now I think I have done that, and now I was sitting at home. I didn't have anything to do. I was not attending my EC lectures because they were not relevant. I had 6 months in hand. Let's come and talk. Like, I loved public speaking at that time. Like, I'm not able to speak in public. Let me put this up on YouTube. Let's say even if
So is that how the journey of the content creation started? Sounds incredible. We will get to that because I have a lot of questions about the content creation journey as well.
Yeah.
Somebody who started a coding club in first year of engineering itself,
Yeah.
to somebody who is now a proper voice that developers are looking at. I want to ask you that if one has to ask you, how would you position the Indian developer community in contrast to the global developer community? So what would you say?
So it's again a very debatable question. Indian developer community, although we produce brilliant folks, you would see all these CEOs of big tech companies, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, they are Indians. But still the kind of respect that should be there, that's not there, because people are not motivated to contribute to open source. And the lot of things that people don't understand. For example, if Indians talk about remote jobs, right? So you would see a huge bulk of students spamming founders across US and Europe on their emails, talking about whatever it is. They're not building their skills. They're just spamming a lot of emails to these founders, and a lot of companies blacklist Indians from applying to multiple competitions.
Oh.
So that somehow brings in bad reputation. There was a recent incident in which there's an open source competition again. It's known as Hacktoberfest. So in which you need to create 4 pull requests. So basically that initiative was to help more students contribute to open source, or more developers contribute to open source. But in India, there was a video that was created by somebody who told how can you get a free t-shirt.
Wow.
Right. So that was the positioning that an Indian content creator gave. How can you get a free t-shirt? He created a video, and a lot of students just copy pasted the same thing, and it was again massive. So the kind of student audience, the kind of developer or computer science engineers in India is vast, right? So a lot of same copy pasted content in that open source just to get that t-shirt. So again, that brought in bad name to us. Then there are multiple other there was an internship that happened in Canada. It was MyTech's Global Link Research internship. That is closed for Indian students. So somehow the event image has become a bit negative, but at the same time, there's a lot of positive side to it, because India is the country that produces the largest number of computer science engineers, right? The kind of population that we have, how we can utilize it, we have the largest number of computer science engineers, but the kind of curriculum that we are fit in, the colleges in India, so they don't produce engineers who should actually work in companies, right? So there's a huge mismatch between the kind of education we are providing, what is required in the industry, what should they learn. Majorly, the entire time of students is just, they are kept busy doing assignments, they're kept busy in exams, they're kept busy in skills that were relevant, let's say 20 years back. So that's somehow stopping them from doing whatever they want to do in life. Because this is not the case in countries like Europe or US, where curriculum is very flexible.
This is kind of reminding me, it's been 15 years since that movie, but it's really reminding me of the dialogue that Amir Khan's character Rancho had in 3 Idiots, where people are being taught how to do assignments and everything and get marks, but skill development isn't really happening that much.
So that's the same case till now. After 15 years, we don't see that happening. Even in the prestigious college, if you talk about IITs or NITs, there would be a very small segment of students who would be doing that. But in general, that's not the case. Students should be self-motivated. That's the only thing. There's no formal education thing that is true. And the curriculum is very, very outdated. So that led to a lot of edtech companies coming into picture. They're teaching students. So maybe the situation has improved a bit in the last 4 or 5 years, because there has been a lot of content across platforms, right? Earlier there was not a lot of content, but now people create technical content on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and students are aware of multiple things. So the trend has improved. Students have become more aware. They now know what all things to do. But from the past 20 years, 15 years, that was not the case. So this is something that might hamper the kind of growth. So that's why people. So the major journey of a student is he'll complete his bachelor's in India, then he'll maybe work for a service based company here in India, and then he'll look for a master's abroad, or for a few of them he or she will prepare for a gate examination, go for masters. Once you're in a good college, right? So the thing that a good college provides you is a good placement, so you can get that placement, then you can grow in the industry, because that's up to you how you want to upskill, how you want to switch jobs, how you want to increase your package or something else. That's something that will happen. But otherwise, 15 lakh engineers we produce every year, but it's very sad to see that close to 2.5 lakh people kind of get into the industry, that too not in tech. Very few get in tech, very premium, maybe 1% or even less than 1% would get in those top companies. But yeah, so that's where we lose the majority part. If that entire workforce is put into picture, the Indian developer community could have been at a very, very good position. Second thing here, so there's a coding competition known as ICPC, so Indian Collegiate Programming Competition. It's a world competition where programmers throughout the world come and they compete. India has not been in that. So there's a list of, I think, 140, I'm not sure of the numbers, 130, 140 countries. Every country sends out a team who represent that country, but India has not been in top 50 ranks from consistently last 5-10 years. So that's very sad, because we have a huge community, we have a lot of developer community, but we don't have good competitive programmers in India. So the participation has been declining throughout the years. So that's a bit concerning, because that's the metric of how good competitive programmers are. So we don't have good competitive programmers. The ICPC participation is declining. We have not been in the rankings. I think the last rank we got some few years back was 38th. That was something that we got. But otherwise, from the past few years, 4-5 years, no team from India has been in top 50 throughout the world. So that's sad.
You mentioned the edtech industry,
Yeah.
and how that is in a way has been able to help students not just prepare through the books and the curriculum that they have, but in multiple other ways as well. How is GenAI being used in the edtech industry?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting use case. I'll just like to quote a company known as Chegg, if you've heard of, right? So Chegg was the company who used to solve doubts for students. So this has become one of the major use case for all these edtech companies when it comes to GenAI. So for example, what Chegg does was, you are studying engineering or doing a coding question, you just click the photograph of that question, upload it, and you'll get that answer in a few minutes or maybe half an hour or something. So after this GenAI coming, Chat GPT coming, that company's stock went down 94-95%.
Oh.
Chegg was completely ruined, right? And that is the use case that most of these edtech platforms have integrated. For example, you purchase a course. Within that course, the major thing is guidance, right? How can you get your doubts solved? So that doubt support or doubt solve has been handled by GenAI, and there's a lot of, earlier that was done manually. For example, they would hire me as a TA, who's a teaching assistant, and if there is a student who has taken their course, he can ask the question to me directly. But now that I am replaced with GenAI, that student can ask the same question to the assistant that they have built, and he can get it solved. So this is something that most of the edtechs have implemented. A lot of video content, if you say, right, a lot of video content has been refined, and companies have been using GenAI in multiple ways to get that up. Third, I would say, like, the multiple use cases in terms of getting good candidates, right? Recruitment platforms have been using GenAI to their AI interviews for multiple companies. So you sit in front of an AI will assess you. For example, it will ask you a few questions and it will send you the report. So you don't need a screening round. So it has helped in a lot of ways. Majorly, I would say this doubt support is one of the prominent ones that most of the people that I know are building, or people who already had edtech businesses, they have been building.
Yes, Arsh, let's talk about the developer workforce in the country. How would you say GenAI and AI is being implemented in regular day-to-day work in offices, for that matter?
Yeah, so what I would say, for example, the kind of work that I do, I'm a senior software engineer. So it has made me more efficient, is what I would say, right? People generally talk about AI replacing software engineers, but I would say the work that I would, let's say, do in 2 hours, I am able to complete it in 30 minutes. So that's how it has been changing, and it's very, very useful. All of my friends who are working in all these big tech companies, they have been using it from the time it was launched, and it has proved to be very beneficial. But at the same time, as the models are not that great, so you need to use your human sense also to get things out of it. So you can't just completely rely upon that GPT or that LLM. It is more of how you give your inputs to the GPT, and then you get the answers. Then you need to modify it again to solve the purpose, right? So that's something that people have been doing. A lot of these companies have built in their own GPTs with a wrapper of their own, which is internal to the organization. They can use, they can put in the kind of code, the kind of answers they have been doing. So that's been very great. Secondly, there are more tools, right? If you have heard of something known as Cursor, right? So it is a code generation platform again, very useful for software engineers. I would say it has been more trained, and it is actually used by people in the industry to write code again. So Cursor is there. Multiple other GenAI tools that have solved a lot of problems, be it not going through a lot of these guides. Earlier, for example, there's a big documentation, and you need to go through that entire documentation to find out something. Right now, you have a lot of these summarizers where you just put in that documentation, just ask the question, and you get the crisp answer, like this would be there on which particular page, or it will formulate that answer for you. So I'm again saving upon a lot of time. So major thing is saving upon a lot of time. And again, the question is, you need to be intelligent enough to use that AI that can help within things going forward. So that's how it has been changing the workforce. A lot of people who were in the roles which were not that creative or not that efficient, so maybe they are kind of getting, or they're kind of upskilling to get into a bit more better roles, because they might not be relevant for like in a couple of more years. So that's the trend that we are seeing. A lot of companies laying off people, giving AI as the reason is something that we're doing, right? So that's something that we are seeing. This is again the trend that is shifting, but again, with AI, with more people coming in, a lot of other jobs are, again, you need to train AI, right? So people who were working in, let's say, support industry or a customer service industry, so the company would want somebody like that to train their AI. For somebody who knows Hindi also, somebody who knows English also, right? How can you, as a Hindi speaker, translate them to English? And that they need a lot of big data set. So that data set can be implemented by those engineers or those people. So a lot of other roles in different industries would grow up with time, but eventually it has made me more efficient, has made my friends more efficient, and the entire workforce more efficient.
You were a student not very long back. You were a college student yourself. You deal with a lot of college students as well. What are the best ways in which young developers can prepare for interviews?
So I would say, talking about software engineering, right? I talk about software engineering tech interviews. So if somebody wants to break into tech, major thing is problem solving. A company needs a good problem solver. They don't need a very specialized engineer out of college. They don't go and hire for a blockchain developer out of college. They don't go and hire for a Gen AI engineer out of college. They go and hire for a good problem solver. If you are a good problem solver, I can hire you. How can you judge that good problem solving? There's a subject known as data structure algorithms. I was just talking about. So if you're good at data structure algorithm, the subject talks about, if I give you a problem, you come up with the solution in the least time possible using the least amount of resources. So somebody who comes up with the answer in the least possible time, least possible memory or resources, he or she is the best candidate for me. So that's what data structure does, right? So that is something that is judged, and I know if that student can solve that problem in that time, I'll get him into my company and I can teach him anything and everything. Right? He's capable of learning. So that gives you an edge that shows, yeah, this student is good enough, capable of learning. You talk about any big tech company, be it Google, Microsoft, Amazon, every company has 70 to 80% problem solving in their hiring rounds for these freshers. So major focus should be on building those problem solving skills. One programming language, problem solving skills, then a few projects. Projects can be in any space. It depends upon your interest. It can be, for example, you're a good web developer, so you can have a few web projects. You're a MLAI enthusiast, you can have a few MLAI enthusiast, MLAI projects. So projects can be anything, but entire major focus should be on problem solving. That is data structural algorithms to get into any big tech company in India.
Let's talk about this one debate that has
Okay.
happened since years now, the debate between service companies versus product companies.
Yeah.
What are the young engineers? Which industry are they looking to go after at this point of time in these current few years, and why?
So if I talk about services companies, right, many of the students still in college, they don't know the difference between what's a services company, what's a product company. They just care about, want to get a placement. If I get a placement,
just वो job चाहिए बस.
हाँ, if job चाहिए वाला scene है, if they get a job, then it's okay. They don't care about which kind of company, whatever. They realize it once they're in that company, right? So services company in India, like they have been hiring in big numbers. Just for an example, TCS or an Infosys or a Wipro or a Capgemini would hire around 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 folks in a year. And for them, the bar is very low, right? So they don't hire people who actually know stuff. If you're good at communication, you can sit in the interview and talk. You're selected for TCS or an Infosys or a Wipro or any other company.
Which is where the concept of bulk hiring also
bulk hiring comes in. You say, you would have gone through a lot of these memes coming in, right?
The AIB skits.
Yeah, AIB skits. So like, itna truck bhar ke bachchon ko leke ja raha hai, something like that. Right? So that happens again. But at the same time, what these companies do is they sign a bond for 2 years or 3 years with you. So you come to that company, they'll train you for 6 months on any one technology. For example, you are trained on one thing for 6 months, you will eventually learn it, right? It can be Java training, Salesforce training, ServiceNow training, a lot of these skills, right? Now for 6 months you are trained. Now you are there with that company for at least 2.5 years or 1.5 years because you have signed that bond. So now the output will be taken out from you. For the next 1.5 years, 2.5 years, you will help us eventually solve the purpose, and you will give us good money. The starting salaries here in India for service-based companies are still 3.36 lakhs per annum.
Wow, so that's not a lot at all.
So that's not a lot at all. So that's the starting salary for a TCS engineer in India. But at the same time, TCS also hires for TCS Digital that gives a 7 LPA, or a TCS Prime that gives an 11 LPA. So the major tiers that students are not aware, but major people get into these service-based companies. I would say all these tier 2, tier 3 colleges. So the placements that they show in their brochures or something, so that's majorly, many of the colleges boast of having 100% placement or 90% placement. So majority people are in service-based companies.
I want to ask you, how does a student ensure that the skill sets within herself or himself is that great that they can move ahead of the 3.6 lakh per annum to the scale of 7 lakh per annum and 11 lakh per annum? How do they make that happen?
Yeah, so again, right, I've just talked about 3 things. One is problem solving, data structural algorithms. That's important again for a TCS going from 3.36 to 7 LPA or an 11 LPA. The second is projects. You should have 2 to 3 good projects in your resume, and those projects should be of your own. It's not just you just copy paste. That's the trend that's happening, right? People just copy paste the projects at the end and they just show it to the interviewer. So that don't make sense, because for example, I'm taking interview. I can easily figure out if the project is copied or you have done it on your own. So you need to be very careful, and this was the case for service-based companies. Let's talk about product-based companies, let's say a Google or a Microsoft or an Amazon. For them, it's majorly problem solving and a bit harder problem solving, right? So the platforms where students can go and practice, like Lead Code or Geeks for Geeks. So these are the platforms where there are a lot of practice problems. Once you solve those practice problems, let's say a 500 or a 600 practice problems, you get a gist of key. Now I can solve any problem that is given in the interview. For example, let me give an example of Amazon interview. So Amazon conducts, let's say, 2 rounds for a fresher, and both of these rounds are problem solving based. So this is a 45 minutes interview. 2 questions would be asked from you. You need to solve those 2 questions on the spot, write code for those. If you're able to write code for those 2 questions in 45 minutes, you're selected and you move to the next round. Second round is again problem solving, completely based on problem solving. So if you are good at this one subject, data structural algorithms, that can significantly transform your journey from a service-based company to a product-based company. Even after you have entered the industry, for example, you got a job in a service-based company and you want to switch after 2 years or 1 year. The thing is the same. You need to be very good at problem solving. If you learn data structural algorithms well within college, then things are easy for you going forward. So for anyone or everyone, if you're a student listening right now, make sure you study the subject very well.
I want to ask you, will the work of, say, SDE1 and SDE2s in an organization, will that be replaced by AI in the near future itself?
No, it can't be, because what actually SD1s and SD2s do is the major IC, that is individual contributor who is writing code, right? And then after SD2, for some companies it's engineering manager or staff engineer or something like that. So those are the people who invigilate the kind of work that's being done, right? So simply this work can't be replaced. SD1 and SD2s are very crucial. But for example, a fresher who joins a company, he joins as an SD1, right? And that's a very crucial stage, because you need to understand the code base and then you need to write code. But AI, as of now, it's not that efficient that it can replace the what an SD1 does, right? Before also we talked about ki you need to have a human who can train the kind of answers you get from AI. But totally replacing SD1, as of now, I don't see it for next 10 years at least. But AI is evolving, but simply saying that it can replace, no, that's not the answer.
You spoke about data structuring algorithms as well. I want to ask you, see, what is the context of data structuring algorithms and dynamic programming when it comes to the context of landing a job?
So data structural algorithms, right? For example, I come to your college, I want to find out smart folks. How can I judge your smartness? So data structural algorithms exactly does something that will judge your smartness. So I'll give you a question. If you come with the solution to that question in the least time, least space, that we call it as time complexity and space complexity. So if you come up with the least time complexity, least space complexity, you are a good engineer for me. That shows you sat in front of the computer, you sat in front of a laptop, and you have given time, you have solved a lot of problems. Then only you will be able to come up with a solution in that amount of time. So that means you are a good developer. So that basically shows you are a good developer. So dynamic programming is one part of data structure algorithms. So data structure is a bigger bucket. Inside data structure, you'll find multiple things: arrays, stacks, linked lists, queues, graphs, trees. Then there's something else, dynamic programming. These are multiple things that comes under that same bracket of data structure algorithms. All of these test problem solving of a student. So you're good at problem solving, you can get into any company. So this is the major criteria for companies, every company out there who wants to hire good engineers in India. Not only in India, but in any country. For example, you want to land a job in US, or you want to land a job in any country out there as an SD1 or a fresher getting into software engineering, the major criteria is data structural algorithms.
I want to ask you, is it really possible to build an app like a Swiggy or a Zomato using AI?
You can build a front end, but there are a lot of things that goes behind, right? You need to understand how that would scale or something. AI would help you with building that front end, but otherwise there are a lot of things that goes behind: how to deliver new features, how to resolve those bugs. So AI might not be able to solve each and everything. So might have a structure in front of you, a wireframe, but that's not useful, right? So front end can be easily built. There's a lot of things that goes behind how things are, how can you build upon, how would bugs come in, how can you think of new feature requests. So that's something that can't be done totally by AI.
I want to ask you, since you talk about in your content a lot about finance, so when it comes to SEBI to regulate, do you think that there should be a regulation on content creators talking predominantly about finance? Because a lot of the youngsters are looking up at you guys with their aspirations, and that can literally impact their careers. So should there be a regulation like
Yeah,
that?
there is already a regulation. For example, you need to be SEBI registered, or you need to have some kind of tests clear. I'm not sure of the test, but people who specifically create finance content, so there have been a lot of cases where they were flagged and they were told not to create that content. They were inquired about the same. So definitely there should be a regulation. If at all, there are a lot of things, right? For example, if I create content at a very initial level, every single day I would get a lot of these companies who want me to promote their betting apps or gambling apps, right? So those are the very common kind of promotions that I get. But I know the kind of audience that I serve to, right? These are majorly students or developers. So that's not something that's very relevant for them. But for example, there's a creator who's in an entertainment category with the millions of following, and he promotes that app. So that's something that's very wrong, because these apps are built in a way that would make you lose your money more and more. The algos are set behind. It's not about winning or losing. It's more about the algos are made like that you will eventually lose more money than you make on that app.
And plus, it's addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive. And a student who is 20 years of age or 18 years or 21 years of age might not be able to understand or comprehend things, and he might take a wrong decision. And I do receive a lot of requests for somebody who has lost some X money in so and so app. And there are a lot of scams that happen on our names also. I don't give any financial advice. I don't talk about stocks. I don't talk about any specific gambling or betting, right? But there are a lot of I came across a lot of Telegram groups which were running on my name, and people are running ads on that Telegram group, promoting it on my name, and then giving financial advices. I'm not sure who are these people, and it's not just with me, but multiple content creators. So this is also something that needs to be very, very regulated. People need to be more aware that this is something that's not right. So we like content. It's the responsibility of content creators. Yes, they should be regulated, but at the same time, the audience needs to be more aware of things like the content creator might not have that much time that he will consult each and everyone individually. Somebody, if you'll go and find on Instagram, right, you will find a lot of my fake profiles again. So I've flagged them multiple times. I've reported it to Instagram. This is something that they've created on my name, and they send requests to multiple people, and they converse with them and they give them stock tips. I don't know about stocks. How can I give stock tips? So that has happened multiple times. But yeah, government is already in the process of regulating multiple things, and I believe going forward there would be some stricter regulation for this again.
You were talking about all the young developers who are starting off with their first jobs, many of them in service companies itself. Often bulk hiring happens as well. But why does everybody want to switch to a product based company?
So it's the first and the most important thing is salary difference, right? I was just talking about the starting salary of a TCS engineer is 3.3 lakhs, whereas the starting salary of an Amazon engineer is 45 lakhs.
Wow.
So just see the multiple. So
why this huge difference?
So there's a huge difference. Why? So what's the business model of TCS or an Infosys or a Capgemini? So it's majorly they have clients in US, Europe, UAE, and they hire developers at cheap rates in India. They build products for them, and let's say there's an hourly rate fixed. For example, they hire a developer in India for a 3.36 LPA job, and he is working for a client in the US, and they're billing that person for a $20 per hour or a $30 per hour.
Exactly, the company
right?
is.
Yeah. So the major thing is TCS, Infosys, all these companies are services based. They're providing services, and the commission that's there. So that's their profits, right? But for product based companies like Amazon or Google or Microsoft, they are product based companies. You will find a lot of these companies building their own products. Right? Use Amazon Pay, Amazon Fire Sticks. So they want quality engineers. They can't just rely on anyone and everyone who come to their system and break their system.
And they can't even do that initial 6 months of training thing. Get anybody and then train.
So they want people who are already smart, who can learn on the job, who can learn stuff very quickly, very fast, get things up, get things rolling. So that's the kind of engineers they hire. So that's why they look out for premium colleges, premium students who already know stuff. That's why there's a huge salary difference. It's like 3 LPA to a 45 LPA. There's a huge difference.
It's nearly a 150% difference.
So more than.
Yeah.
So it's this is the case. So the major thing is, and the kind of work you get in, right? The kind of offices that you have, like these big tech companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, the kind of environment they give their employees to work is phenomenal, right? You get every facility out there in the offices, be it free food, free Wi-Fi, free gym. You get a lot of allowances, wellness allowance, fitness allowance. You get a lot of travel. You get everything that an employee needs. You just need to come to office, be comfortable at your own zone, and work for that company. So there are a lot of things. One is money. There's a significant difference. Second, the kind of work. The kind of work in these services companies is very redundant, might not be very exciting, might not add to their skill set, and they eventually will be outdated after some point. The kind of work that you do in these product-based companies is very dynamic. You get to learn every single thing in that company. And the kind of seniors or the managers or the bosses in these companies are, again, the folks who have been in, who have built these amazing products like Google Maps or Amazon Pay. So they have that kind of experience. So you get to work with those folks directly. So you become more smarter working with smart people. There are a lot of differences. So this has always been the thing. You always, if you get into the industry as a services engineer, you somehow at some day need to move to product industry.
I want to ask you, why are so many of resources on bench, and how does that add value from a business standpoint, say of companies like TCS or Wipro or Infosys?
So when you say bench, right, for example, let's say TCS plans to hire 40,000 folks this year. They might not have all the folks allotted to any specific project, right? But at the same time, they might need that resource in, let's say, a couple of months. So they might not be able to hire them later. So what they do is they give them training. They don't currently have projects as of now. So the employee who don't have any project, he is on bench. So the person is called on bench, who is employed with a company, but he doesn't have any work to do.
But does the payment on a monthly basis keep coming in?
Payment keeps on coming in, but there's a consistent fear of losing the job, because
True.
for example, the company plans to lay off, right? He or she would be the first employee to be laid off, who is on bench because he's of no use to company,
Not adding any value.
not adding any value. So that's the fear that's there in the mind. Plus, that employee is not adding any skill set. He's just kind of going to office, sitting there and not doing anything. So he's not able to develop his skill set. He is in the constant fear of layoffs. He is not upskilling. So that's the kind of fear on these companies. And for these companies, it does not matter a lot, because the kind of billing that they have for these US companies, the kind of money that they're paying them, it's very, very small.
I want to ask you, with the advent of AI and generative AI now coming in, what is the future of Indian IT?
I would say companies still first of all, there are a lot of startups coming in the Indian IT space. You see big tech companies, like Zomato is the 10th largest employer of India now. Like, I think it's very close to Indian Railways. The number of people employed by Indian Railways is equivalent to those employed by Zomato, be it their delivery partners or the software engineers or operations or marketing or sales, everything, right? So first of all, with AI coming in, more people would have that opportunity to build their first proof of concept for any startup, right? They can build their own app easily. Even if you don't know how to code, you can build that prototype in the beginning. There's so many no code, low code applications where you can build that prototype. That's one. Secondly, the ecosystem. You need to be more creative. You need to upskill with the time, right? It's not just that you need to work on legacy systems from a lot of time, and you need to constantly improve with your ongoing job. So that's the second thing. Services companies, like they faced a lot of challenge in the past 2-3 years. The hiring numbers were less. Companies were laying off employees, right? And companies would need more specialized engineers. They don't need generalized engineers. They would need somebody who's specialized in data science, somebody who's specialized in, let's say, DevOps, somebody who's specialized in cloud. So they would need more specialized. The hiring market for freshers is becoming tough right now. Also, it's tough. Last 2-3 years it has been tough, but still in the industry there's a demand for somebody with 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience who is skilled in one specific technology. So I would see it as more of key specialized engineers or specialized technology skills would be more valued going forward, and people would have more chances of starting their own things because of a lot of tools and things like that happening. Plus, there's a trend of remote jobs coming in. For example, there's a company in the US who earlier gave that contract to TCS or an Infosys. Why not they hire the employee directly in India? So that employee gets in a better salary, that employee is paid more, plus that employee can work for that company directly, again a product-based company. So that is happening. A lot of companies are exploring that space. They're setting up an Indian entity who is, they're employed to that Indian entity, but they're working for that US firm. So that's happening. So these are some of the things that I believe would change the landscape.
You know, the industry is changing on such a fast pace. There are players like Shopify and Wix who are reinventing themselves at such a fast scale. How can engineers and developers differentiate themselves?
So I've not used these no code low code platforms, but I recently was doing a campaign with Wix and Zoho Creator. So both of these platforms are low code no code applications, but I was amazed by the features that they had. If you like, I was kind of creating an education management system. For example, you're setting up your own college and you need to have an interface where you can manage each and everything. You can set up timetables, you can have employees, you can have teachers, you can have students, entire database. And it was very quickly. I created that in close to 30 minutes with a lot of customizations. I did that on Zoho Creator. So that's something that I feel has changed. Recently, I was exploring Wix again. There's a company known as Odoo also, if you've heard of. So for them also, there's a lot of e-commerce template if somebody wants to build their own e-commerce. But at the same time, right, it is improving with the time. If I talk about these platforms, Wix, Odoo or Zoho Creator, 5 years before, so they were not at all good. But now after 5 years, they are at a very good position. But at the same time, still companies would require engineers who can handle the kind of bugs, who can handle the kind of feature requests. They are not that customizable as of now. they might be able to handle that front end, but still a lot of things behind the back end, or the problem comes in when you scale, right? Let's say, for example, now you're working for now your app is being used by 100K people. Let's say at the same time, if you push it to 1 million, so how that scale would change. So that might not be able, these platforms might not be able to handle that as of now.
Handle
So
that.
we need engineers again. A lot of design thinking comes into point. How would I click on this button in Swiggy application? So that might not be easily customizable at a platform like Wix or something. So yeah.
You mentioned they might not be able to handle that scale now, but as you were talking about the fact that these platforms a few years back weren't that great as far as the quality output, now they are. Say a few years down the line, will developers and engineers really start to think to themselves that what is even the point of learning these languages, say like AngularJS or Node? Will that time actually come? Will they think, "Hey, should I even learn this? Should I even get this skill set?"
So, as Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang says, we should like programming languages will become outdated. So English would be the only language that people will talk about, right? So, he is saying that people should not learn to program. People should not learn to program. This is what was his statement. But things are improving. We can't deny the fact things are improving. Maybe in the future we would see people building entire applications, everything using AI. There's a concept of one engineer company, one person company. This is a very recent concept. One person company. You are the one who builds everything. You are the one who handles marketing. You are the one who handles tech. You are the one who handles operations. So maybe we can see this concept going forward. But again, it all depends upon how fast we go, how the AI is developing, how things are. But yeah, we can't deny the possibilities of whatever we are.
Arsh, you met an absolute legend at the Nvidia Summit in Mumbai. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. Were you starstruck? What was that meeting like? What was that one-on-one chat like? What did you ask him? Tell us all that happened.
Yeah, it was like once in a lifetime opportunity thing that happened, and I was very excited. First of all, the person we have been seeing and we have been hearing a lot in interviews, and he's been the face of AI somehow. So yeah, I was starstruck once. Then like I was there as a part of media team who was there to cover the few of my YouTube friends also. I was there with them, just talking about we've been working with Nvidia for something. So that was the reason that I was here. The keynote that like even started with the keynote by Jensen, amazing speaker, amazing presenter, and had a great sense of humor. Like he could crack joke on anything and everything. This is very cool in that sense. Then got to see that fireside chat between Mukesh Ambani and Jensen, where they talked about Geo and Nvidia, Reliance and Nvidia partnership. Then there was a surprise entry by Akshay Kumar. We thought it to be very random, but again that made sense. They were kind of comparing each other, right? Jensen and Akshay Kumar, how they were like both of them were waiters at some point of time, and now Akshay Kumar is doing something in the entertainment industry, he's doing something in the AI industry. But yeah, both are gym freaks, both are like very passionate about fitness and stuff. So heard about that. After that, like this was the event that happened. Then we like people who were in media, right? We got a chance to have a separate conversation and a separate discussion.
See, that's the one I want to know about.
Yeah, so the multiple, like there were a lot of media houses and like Live Mint or Times Now or everyone was there. So the few people from YouTube also, and we were there. So they collected questions from us was speaking. So majorly the question that I think I asked was around Nvidia has been like TSMC have been taking a lot of the raw materials or chips from TSMC from long time, right? But they don't like I was just asking you like if they plan to do it from companies like Intel or stuff. But to his again, I think he answered it with a great sense of humor. Right? It's more of TSMC has been doing very good, and we plan to continue it with them. Maybe we can explore something with Samsung or an Intel who is doing something as well, something of these lines. But there were a lot of questions other journalists were asking around Nvidia and Reliance partnership, how it will be impacting India, what all things they do plan to announce. But he didn't mention a lot of things, but it was more about doing a partnership, and we are looking forward to it in a way that both of us would support each other, because Reliance had that kind of infrastructure and they would build that compute infrastructure in India. There was a conversation around our PM talking about that we should not export floor to get in bread, right? I'm not sure if you've heard of. So this was something that was very famous. We should not export flour to get in bread. It's the same way we should not export in data from India to get in that technology. We should build that technology in India. That's something that was the vision of Mukesh Ambani Reliance for partnering with Nvidia. So that's something that they're doing. But yeah, it was great experience. One of, I would say, one once in a lifetime chance to meet somebody like Jensen.
When the reporters and journalists were asking the question about the partnership between Geo, Reliance, and Nvidia, did he give any other detail as to what could be in the pipeline? What are some of the things that are happening?
No, I think the information has been in public. There was no details to anything, but yeah, they plan to build some compute infrastructure along with Reliance in India. They plan to build some innovation centers with Reliance in India because Reliance had that expertise with respect to human capital and everything in India, right? So both of them collaborating on this aspect might bring in a lot of possibilities. They plan to set up something in Jamnagar or Surat. This was maybe announced as far as I remember, but yeah, no specific details, but this general idea was there.
Having attended the event and that entire experience of yours, if we have to ask you, what do you say we can expect from this very, very interesting collaboration that is happening with Reliance and Nvidia?
See, the best in both the places are collaborating, right? So we can expect something that's very good for India in terms of a lot of Indian workforce getting into place and building that kind of stuff, right? So be it in terms of Indians working on more innovative technologies and training the kind of models that people would want to see and building those kind of startups and powering those kind of AI applications within India, right? So we want more of them happening from within India because India is already ahead because the kind of computer science engineers, the people who graduate every year, it's the largest in India. The workforce is largest in India, and we have some of the best minds in India. So how we can use that, how we can use those resources, and I believe this partnership, if going forward they build in more compute infrastructure or they build in more innovation centers in India, Indians would be able to leverage that to build on good startups or build on some of the new technologies that the world might not be. India is already like kind of ahead in this AI race at some point of time.
You mentioned the setup happening in Jamnagar or Surat. You talk to a lot of students, and I want to ask you because I am instantly being reminded of this one interview that you did with a young girl just to pass out from a college, from a 2 tier or 3 tier city, and has cracked a job in Amazon Europe or Amazon America. It was either one of the two.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about that in short, and then tell us how well is the gap getting bridged. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. If your skill set is great, as far as a developer, as far as an engineer, then the world can literally be your oyster.
See, what I see the problem is the mindset, right? For example, let's say I get into a tier 2, tier 3 college and I see my seniors, everyone says you will get eventually placed. You don't need to do anything. So that's the mindset that develops throughout the college years, right? So hear from your seniors and the kind of students you have around, they are not motivated themselves and you don't feel like doing anything. Whereas, for example, you're in a good college or for a tier 1 college like an IIT, you see people around you very motivated because they have come through that competition exam, right? So people around you are motivated. Your seniors are getting placed in very good companies in India and abroad. So that's the difference. That puts you in a bad picture being from a tier 2, tier 3 college. Otherwise, the kind of interviews, the kind of stuff you study, the kind of things you have, everything remains the same for both the colleges. The only thing is the mindset different. If you come out from that mindset different, and if you say that you want to get into XYZ company in India, I can tell you how can you get into any company as a software engineer in India as a fresher. So there are a lot of ways, right? It's not just that company coming to their college, but there are a lot of hackathons, there are a lot of competitions, there are a lot of mentorship programs. Every company has. So if you are aware of these things at right point of time, you can get that. Talking about that girl, right? So last year, Amazon was sponsoring a lot of students for a lot of their multiple locations outside India. Amazon Dublin, Amazon Luxembourg, right? So
Luxembourg, this one was yes.
So Amazon Luxembourg, Amazon Dublin, and the package that they give for these kind of roles for Indian currency, it comes out to be 1.2 CR.
per annum.
That's a very aspirational number for Indian parents, for Indian ecosystem, for everyone, right? If you might have heard of these news coming in, it's going to come eventually. December is starting, right? So IIT placements start on 1st, 2nd December. So these news will pop up in the coming days. Somebody got a 4 crores or a 3 crores or a 2 crores. So that 1.2 crore coming from a tier 3 college. So that was something that everyone would aspire to achieve. So, and that was somehow my student. I've taught her at some point of time.
Wow.
So when she gave me the news, I thought of let's go ahead and create that story, and more people should be motivated across India. So that led to that episode where I talked about how she applied for it, how she cleared the interviews, what was asked in the interviews, and and it was very similar to any other normal process. The process was not tough. It was just that she was aware and she applied for it at the right time. That's something that happened. So not only just hard work, but you need to be aware at the same time for getting in the best out of your college.
Let's talk about landing dream jobs. You talk to students on such a large scale, you teach them, you're a mentor to them. So what would be some of the top tips that you would have for youngsters to crack these jobs in these big companies like, say, Google or TCS or Microsoft or Amazon?
First thing is you need to have that mindset that you can crack that company, right? Everything is
irrespective of where you're coming from, which
irrespective of where
college.
you're coming from, which college, which geography, remote, tier 2, tier 3, whatever you're coming in, you need to have that mindset that I can crack that. Once you have built that mindset, it just requires your focused study of 8 to 12 months, and you can get into any company in India. 8 to 12 months, if you study with focus, that's it, right? You need to be self-motivated. Nobody should come and tell you, but you should be self-motivated. And the process looks like for all these companies, as a software engineer, one programming language, DSA, 2-3 good projects, having a good resume, and good presentation skills. Whatever you have done, you need to be able to put it on a plate and present it in front of the interviewer. That matters the most. At the same time, have those networking opportunities ongoing, right? On platforms like LinkedIn, on platforms like Twitter, you need to be very active in terms of connecting with those folks who are working in these companies already. So they only talk about the kind of open roles if they have. If you want to look out for referrals, you can talk to these companies. Go and participate in a lot of hackathons out there. A lot of hackathons are being conducted, right? So you can participate in those hackathons and you can get whatever you want. Every hackathon brings in a good prize money plus a career opportunity, be it an internship or a placement, and a conversion. Maybe if an internship, it can be converted to a PP or a PPI. So this is the pathway. So any company, this is the only roadmap that we just figured out. So these are 4 steps. One is programming language. It can be any language. It's no use learning 10 languages at a time, right? This is also a myth. Student come to me and say, Ki, I know Java, JavaScript, React, I know Java, JavaScript, C++, Python, C#. No, so it's no use. Just focus on one language and stick to it for a longer term, right? If you know one language fundamentally well and you want to move to any other language, it becomes very easy. For example, if I know C++, I want to shift to Java, it will just take me 15 days or 10 days to learn the syntax. That's it. Everything else remains the same in all languages. Focus on one language, stick to it. Problem solving, data structure algorithms, 2 to 3 projects, any technology, and good presentation skills and networking skills. These are the 4 things that you need to do to get a job in any company in India.
It's fascinating what you mentioned. Reminded me of something. About like a couple of months back, I was having a chat with Deep Kalra, who is the founder of Make My Trip, and he mentioned the exact same thing, that when he was starting out, the 80s and 90s, it was very important to be very good in multiple number of things. The era of that is gone.
Yeah.
He said now you don't have to be very good in a multiple number of things. You have to be great in one thing.
Yeah.
So that specialization now is very important.
True. 100%. Agreed. That same we discussed, right?
You were just mentioning that soon the start of the new year is going to happen and we are going to read these stories of 20 CR per annum and all of that. And Reddit will have questions of will is 90 lakh per annum enough to live in Bangalore or not? And everybody under that will comment, no, bro, you still need more.
Yeah.
But there is the other side of it as well, where the low placement scenarios are there, the recession, the rise in unemployment, layoffs happening in the big tech. What is your take on that?
So in the past few years, right, we have seen there's a less requirement for freshers in the market, because companies don't want to spend a lot of time training those candidates or putting in efforts on those candidates. They want experienced folks. So that has led to lesser fresher hiring in the past 2-3 years, right? This is the trend we have seen. 2021, 2022 was the best time. Every company was growing. Companies were hiring like aggressively. So that was the best time. After that, the trend has shifted a lot. And one reason I would mention that only because at that time they overhired a lot of folks. That led to a lot of layoffs in the industry. So they just don't want to make the teams more bleak, and they want people to be very specialized in some skills. So that's one. Secondly, I would say ki it's more of supply and demand, right? So demand is ever growing, but there's a huge supply of people, right? With technology, everyone is becoming more aware. So there's a lot of competition at fresher level. So for one single opening, for example, I was just talking to somebody from Adobe. So they opened up an application for their MTS role, and they got around 1,27,000 applications for something.
Wow.
1,20,000 applications for a few hundreds of roles.
And let's not even get to in how much time.
Yeah.
Like maybe 1 or 2 days.
Yeah. So if this is the kind of applications you're getting, it's very tough to filter out who is a good candidate, and you might not be able to get that opportunity even if you're capable enough. So the multiple things that happen. So at fresher level, the market is still very cluttered. If you're in a good college, you're in a prominent institution, then you might get more opportunities. You get into a good company and your career is sorted. But if you come from a tier 2, tier 3 college, again, you need to face those challenges. The competition is entire India, right? When you're sitting for an off-campus drive, the competition is entire India, and that competition might not be something that, and it's a lot of luck also, right? For example, I am preparing for an interview. I studied these 2 questions a night before, and the next day I have the same question in the interview. For example, also it varies a lot from the kind of interview. For example, I am taking an interview, my colleague is taking an interview, third person taking an interview. So it all depends upon what my mindset is on that day, and how that student mindset is on that day, and the kind of question that I'm asking. So it is a lot varying, but a lot of companies are experimenting with multiple different things, be it AI or stuff. But yeah, otherwise, these layoffs might even grow. The only thing is, developers need to upskill themselves. They need to learn whatever is happening in the market, keep themselves updated. It's not just that, like, if AI is coming in the market, go and do an AI course. No, it should not be like that. But yeah, you should know how to use that AI efficiently. That's more important.
You mentioned that companies don't really want to hire freshers anymore. Now, a logical thing is, if somebody is coming right out of college, they will be a fresher.
Yeah.
How to undo that? Internships.
Yeah.
The way to answer that is internships, and that's across industries.
Yeah.
So what would be the one advice that you would have for these youngsters to secure internships, especially in this extremely highly competitive market?
So it's more of, why would I want somebody to intern with me, right? So the first thing is, he should add value to my organization. So how I can see that the person can add value to my organization? If I see that he has done some projects, he's skilled, he comes to me and he learns something and he contributes to whatever I'm doing. So you need to build in public, or you need to showcase whatever you're doing. You need to be vocal on platforms like LinkedIn. For example, I remember a girl, she built a project. She was from VIT Vellore. She built a project, some machine learning, image recognition, and that project went viral on LinkedIn, and she got a job due to that.
Wow.
Secondly, there's somebody who wanted the product design job in Cred. So he created an entire presentation on that Cred's model. He put it over on LinkedIn. He tagged its founders, and he got a Cred internship in product design. So these are some of the new ways that people are going through. But still, getting those internships, I believe you should participate in, again, the hackathons. Secondly, there's a recent initiative government of India has also launched, known as PM internship. So if you're not employed, if you don't get a job, you can get to that PM internship, and I think they plan to have around 1 crore interns for the next 5 years.
Wow.
So they have tied up with a lot of corporates here in Bangalore, across India. These are services companies also, these are product companies also, these are manufacturing companies also. And if somebody wants to do an internship with those companies, you get a stipend also, plus you get to work with that company also to get that experience, right? And then you can maybe get employed somewhere or another. That's one scheme that government of India has launched. Maybe you need to explore more. There would be a lot of other programs, other schemes. Cold DM people, right? If somebody is, like, for example, you are very passionate about AI, look out for recent startups who have raised funding in AI within India, abroad. Look out for people who are working in these startups, who's the founder, who is somebody in recruitment team, HR team. Go over to LinkedIn, try texting them about your skill set. That will get you an potential internship, because they have recently got the funding and they would want new ideas to come in. It's just not that you just go and talk about yourself, talk about their product. Whenever you're pitching in, right, the pitch should be about their product. If, for example, I went through Swiggy, and I found that this is something that I can improve,
Hmm.
and this can bring in potential revenue, or this can something help improve the user experience. So that might impress that second person, and you might start a conversation. Once you start a conversation, it's all about how you sell yourself. If you're able to sell yourself, you will get that information. There are multiple ways. The only thing is you need to be more smart and aware. That's it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the aware bit. Salary packages are something that are always a very hot topic.
Yeah.
Based on your experience, how should developers negotiate salaries, and what are the factors that truly matter?
Again, this market is very cluttered. You can't generalize salaries. For example, services company have a very different pay bands, 3 lakhs to 10 lakhs for a fresher. That's the band, 3 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Product companies would have it from 12 lakhs to somewhere around 40, 45, 50 LPA. So that's the LPA thing happens. That's the fresher job, right? After that, it all depends upon how frequent you switch, how frequently you get job, how frequently you get upskilled. For example, you joined at a job. I have a frequent. Let me give you an example, right? Somebody who joined at a package of 23 lakhs, within a year, he gave interviews for another company who offered close to 20-25% hike. Right, so 20-25% hike of, let's say, 23 lakhs would be around 5-6 lakhs more. So the package went to around 30 in one single year, right? The second year you again jump, but that might not be the right strategy, jumping every year, because you don't get expertise in one particular technology. But at the same time, if you're a fresher, you can take that risk. That does not matter at all, right? So it varies a lot. So similarly, for example, two students who joined at a package of, let's say, 20 lakhs, one of them would be earning a 60 lakhs right now, one of them would be earning a 40 lakhs right now, one of them would be earning, let's say, 25 lakhs right now. So it is very varied. When I talk about negotiation, right, the industry now demands you to have multiple offers. If, for example, I have an offer from X company who's offering me 20 lakhs, Y company is offering me 25 lakhs, Z company, if I got an offer, now I can negotiate to more than 25 lakhs. I have a 25 lakhs offer. If you can pay me more, or if you can negotiate on the kind of stocks that you give, stock component. So you need to. Recently, I was just talking to an engineer who got a job at Google. So he was currently working at a startup who was paying him 36 lakhs per annum. He's just a recent grad. Last year he was passed out.
Wow.
36 lakhs he was earning at that company. He got an offer from Google. Now Google gave him a stock component of 58,000 US dollars. So that's over 4 years. That's 4 years component. First year salary comes out to be 41 lakhs. The all cash component plus a bonus component plus stocks comes out to be 41 lakhs. So 36 to 40 lakhs, 41 lakhs jump he got within 1 year. So, and now, for example, if he wants to negotiate, so either he should have one more offer to negotiate, or he can negotiate in terms of if you want to increase the base component or reduce the stocks component. So that's the kind of negotiation that can happen. But yeah, you need to be smart enough. You need to be aware of the market standards. You need to be aware of platforms like Glassdoor or Grapevine or Lead Code, where these compensations are discussed at some point of time. You need to know what's your worth at this point of time, the kind of skill set that you possess, the kind of experience that you possess. So you need to be aware of platforms like Glassdoor, Lead Code compensation, or Grapevine.
We have already, but I want to dive a little more deep into the developer ecosystem. There are tools like cloud engineering and DevOps, which are totally the hot topic right now. Why do you think they're gaining so much prominence?
See, these are the fields that people generally don't talk about or don't know about. But when you talk about software delivery, right? So if you're a good developer, like DevOps engineer, if you have good DevOps team in your company, so the delivery becomes very fast, right? The CI/CD pipelines that they set up, so you can maybe get the output on time. So it all depends upon how can you get things done in a timely and fast manner at a set deadline, right? So that's what a DevOps engineer does. It can it can increase the efficiency of your team. That's what you require, right? Getting more work in lesser time. So that's what DevOps engineer does, and they're very important for any company out there. Cloud, as you see, most of the companies want compute on demand. So with AI coming in, a lot of more companies would want this compute on demand with similar limited pricing that you pay as per your need, right? So we would have seen GCP or AWS or Azure growing. So as soon as they grow, we would demand a lot of people who should work in cloud, who are working in cloud. So I was just recently I was looking out. I was talking to a cloud engineer who works at Google. So I created a video where if somebody wants to get into Google as a cloud engineer, how can he do that? So for cloud engineer, the roadmap is very different. So he might not need to study data structure algorithms, but there's a different set of things that he need to know for cloud. So I've created a complete video on my YouTube where I've talked about it. So there's an event again happening in Delhi next month. It's again for cloud enthusiasts. Again, somebody wants to get into. So do attend events like these if you want to network with more people, right? These events are more of can be the next career opportunity for you, because you might not know the person you're talking to might be a potential fit for your next job or an internship. There's a lot of company booths out there, so it's a big event that's happening.
You have been very vocal about the importance of hackathons
Yeah.
in a developer's journey. Even in the middle of this podcast, you mentioned it like twice, thrice. How do hackathons help developers build skills and network?
So if I talk about hackathons, right? So throughout my college journey, I got a chance to participate. I even mentioned I've participated in Mintra Hackathon, American Express Hackathon, Lowe's Hackathon, the couple of more Optum's Hackathon. So I've participated in all of these hackathons, and the kind of experience that I got, right? The 2-3 things. One, you build a great project. That project can be a good resume project that you can discuss in the interview. And if it's a hackathon project, that means that project has a certain use case. It's not just a simple e-commerce website. So if it has a certain use case, the interview discussion becomes very interesting. So for example, just let me give you an example. There's a company known as Lowe's group of companies. It's a home improvement company, and they have stores similar to Walmart, Target in US, Canada.
Yeah, we recently did a podcast with them.
Oh, so Lowe's, I participated in their hackathon when I was in college, and for them, we kind of built an application. It was in COVID time where people were not allowed to go to malls because it can get crowded. So a scheduling system for malls. Let's say if you want to go to mall, you can schedule your visit. Like I want to go at 9:30 or I want to go at 10. So there'll be no crowding, right? Second thing was key. For example, it's a big mall. I want to know. For example, I want to buy a pillow and a bed sheet. I don't know which section of the mall would have that pillow and bed sheet, but at the starting of there's some algorithm that will show me at the start of the mall that you just need to go at this particular point of time and you'll get that. So it will save my time and it will help stop crowding. It was in COVID time, so we were thinking of use cases on how we can make it more accessible and COVID. So this was the project that we built, and we got a prize money plus a job offer from Lowe's at that point of time. I got that package even before the start of my college year. So I thought that this was one of the life-changing opportunity because I didn't need to sit for placements. And I got a very good package, plus I got that exposure, plus there were a lot of mentors from that company who gave me feedback on what can be improved, how it can be improved. This is exactly what we do in the company, right? So you get that experience within college. Now also a lot of these companies, and I've been talking about a lot of hackathons on my LinkedIn, on my YouTube, on whatever it is. So that gives me more opportunity and chance for everyone, not just me, but for everyone. It gives a chance to build projects, learn, collaborate, get opportunities, get prize money, and do stuff in college. Don't just sit idle. It is a chance to engage yourself in college in something productive. So for anyone and everyone who is hearing, I'm still very, very vocal. Go and participate.
Go and participate, and this is the best time to tell you about this as well. One of A Media House's wings is called Machine Hack.
Okay.
At Machine Hack, we are hosting the Great Indian Hiring Hackathon 2024. It's the season 2 of this hackathon. The season 1 happened in 2020. We have the numbers here. In 2020, during season 1, the total number of registrations were 5,738. Wow. Participants were 1,335. Companies that were hiring were Aditya Birla Group, Fractal, Genpact, Wells Fargo, wow, Zycus, and a lot more. Season 2 now is way bigger and way grander. What advice would you give developers and engineers who are planning to participate in hackathons like the Great Indian Hiring Hackathon 2024?
So it's, first of all, don't go with the mindset of if I don't win the hackathon, I'll lose everything. Go with the intention that if I will participate, I'll have a project out of this hackathon, right? If you will go with that intention, right, build the project. When I talk about project, right, so the participating in a hackathon requires 3-4 steps. One, you need to go through the problem statement. For example, this, I'm not sure if the problem statements are already given. So if you have those problem statements in hand, you need to brainstorm it with the team. So you need to find a team for a hackathon. So it can be 2 to 5 people, or depends upon the kind of hackathon. Find like-minded folks. It should be mix of people who are good engineers in terms of web development or machine learning or whatever hackathon's theme is. Maybe somebody who can present that solution well, you need that guy also. So have that team, brainstorm enough, have some A/B testing, try talking to people about your idea, try understanding if there is some feedback, and then start building the product. Right? Once you start building the prototype, then that gives you more ideas on how to improve that product. So this will lead you to building a lot of projects on your own. This will in fact give you a lot of freelancing opportunities. So maybe this can be a starting point for your freelance journey also, for you earning money within college. Also people talk about freelancing and earning money, plus you getting a job also. So go and participate, have a good team, have a good presentation ready that you need to submit. Presentation should not be a lot of text presentation, but it should be more visual, because they would be, I was just mentioning that they received 5,000 registrations in the last hackathon. Maybe if
And that was 2020.
that was 2020, this time numbers would be 2x, 3x
Way
at
more,
least,
way more.
right? So how will you be shortlisted for the next round? It should be visually very appealing. The presentation, I'm not saying put in colors and stuff, it should be basic, but it should have some flow charts, it should have some diagrams, so that once I glance through your presentation, I should see whatever you are building, right? It should not be a lot of text. I should not spend a lot of time on your presentation. I was recently judging a hackathon, like people just copy pasted a lot of stuff from chat GPT and just submitted. So I was like, why they have done that? In fact, they should not have participated if this was a thing. Don't use these tools. Maybe you can use these tools to refine some stuff, but don't just copy paste things and do. Because if I am evaluating, or somebody who's evaluating from your end would eventually know that this idea is copied or not. So make sure you do that. And great chance again, if somebody is into ML or data science, you should explore the kind of hackathon AIM is conducting.
Absolutely. You've built a very, very thriving 200K plus community of developers on Telegram and other platforms as well. How can platforms like these, combined with hackathons like these, contribute to a developer's growth?
See, for a community like Telegram, right? I have a 2 lakh people on Telegram, and it's very quick access. For example, sitting here, I just want to post in some information that will be on phones in multiple places throughout India at the same single point of time.
Correct.
And the Telegram group is around 60% notifications on. So it's very engaged group. I do conduct some live sessions there at midnight, let's say 11 a.m. or 12 a.m. We are just talking about random stuff, what has been happening. So that is how I used to connect with the kind of audience that I have. Right? You need to understand their pain points and create content accordingly. So I get the chance, whenever I get a chance, maybe a half an hour or a 1 hour conversation where they ask their doubts and I try to answer a lot of their questions or queries that I might have when I was in college, right? Similar kind of questions I get from a student who is studying in third year or final year. So that basically, for me, it's a kind of platform where I can engage with a lot of these developers or coders. Plus for them also, it's kind of becomes a community where each of them can help each other, right? Help in terms of, for example, somebody is looking for a team for a hackathon like this. He might get that from a Discord group or a Telegram group. Maybe if you don't have that culture in your college, how to find a good team member? You can find it from a community like this on Telegram or Discord, right? So this helps overall in upgrading the kind of students you have, upgrading the kind of skills you have, upgrading the kind of collaborations you have with people. So that's something that I would say.
Lovely. Okay, Arsh, now the coming questions are questions that I'm very, very excited to ask you. A person who was that passionate about coding in first year itself, that started a coding club in his college. Let's talk about the future of coding. With advancements happening in GenAI by the month, how do you see the future of coding evolving, say, in the next 5 years?
So I would see more of engineers using more of AI to write code. AI writing in applications, the kind of redundant work that we do right now, that might not be the case. There are a lot of support jobs that might not be there that exist, but a lot of more jobs in the same space would be created, because we need people to train that AI. We need somebody who's very good at research, right? A lot of folks in research would be required who are interested in data science and LMs. So that kind of geographics in terms of people transitioning from one kind of role to another, and this industry is going to be very, very dynamic. You need to be a master of multiple things at the same time, specializing in one or two, right? So that's the future that I see when it comes to the industry, the kind of coding that goes on. And
Will AI replace human developers, or will it be able to act as an enabler?
As of now, the kind of industry that we have seen, it is not at a position to replace engineers. But yeah, going forward, it might not be able to replace it entirely, but we might see some different names out of this. It might not be software engineer, but we might call them something else. But the use case would be somehow similar. You would be developing on AI. What I would say is software engineers would be the last one to be
Lose their jobs?
yeah, because they are only building the AI, right? So you might see a lot of other professions might go off. Let's say people would replace doctors, right? Somebody is a robot who is treating somebody, right?
You're saying AI robots can replace doctors?
Who will build those robots? Software engineers will build those robots, right? So software engineers would build robots. The last person to lose their jobs would be software engineers.
I hope the first person to lose the job is not the doctor.
Yeah, I'm
pretty sure
that might be the wrong example, but there are a lot of other fields, right? Marketing, sales, operations,
research, basic level research.
Yeah. So if you automate all of those, so those roles might eliminate first. Software engineers who are building to eliminate those roles would be the last to get finished. Right? So maybe this is the industry, but it's just a prediction. You can't just say.
When young developers, young students, engineers ask you, sir, will we lose our jobs because of AI? What do you tell them?
So it's again a mindset shift. For a college student like me, even if I would have been at the same point, you would see tons of short form content coming in and telling you will lose your job, AI will replace you, AI will do the. You eventually have that mindset, and you eventually film that thing in your mind. This is something that I should not do. Why I'm wasting time? I should do something else. But at the same time, I would say fundamentally you should practice things. Your fundamentals should be good, right? In any technology, anything, whatever you're doing, whatever college teaches you, or whatever company expects out of you is fundamentals. Within your college, build your fundamentals well, so that whatever happens, right? Even if you want to build something, even if you want to get into AI, even if you want to get into any other domain, you can learn it quickly, right? Even if AI changes, AI evolves, some new technology comes in, you will be able to learn that. How will you learn that? Once your fundamentals are strong. So rather than worrying about you losing your job or getting out of the market, make sure your fundamentals are strong. Don't need to think of it much. Just make sure you're aware of what is happening in the industry, right? Keep yourself updated with the kind of podcasts you conduct, the kind of information you provide, the kind of information you have over the internet, where something new or something incoming is happening by organizations like Perplexity or OpenAI or a lot of these companies, right? So you need to be updated with whatever is happening in the market. That's more than enough. Plus, make sure you have your fundamentals right.
How can industries, and especially say the big companies, ensure that they find the right balance between Gen AI and the human touch when it comes to coding and the field of developers?
So it's like a lot of companies are exploring, right? Sundar Pichai recently said that 25% of the code at Google is written by AI. So that was a big statement, right? But at the same time, he mentioned that it's not that we are those many software engineers would lose job, but at the same time, those software engineers would have improved that code, and we would have saved a lot of time. The time that was saved was put to, let's say, something else that Google is building. So you can see the advancements coming in more quickly. You can see some technology, let's say, that would have come 10 years down the line, that is coming 5 years ahead. So this is something that the companies are finding a balance in between human touch or AI, but still it's not at all very streamlined for any company out there. Companies are still experimenting. We are still at the very early stages of AI coming in. There's a lot more to happen, a lot more things to evolve, a lot more models to come in, a lot more things you will see in the future that might not be the case till now.
Is English going to be the next language for coding?
English can be the language, as Jensen was. We just talked about Jensen, right? So like, if you can write code, if you can write English, then that means you should write code. Yes, this can be the possibility at some point of time, that even somebody who's from a non-tech background, he can easily learn to code with all these tools coming into picture, and with the language like English or something. I know, just an imagination, but yeah, possibility is there.
Now that we're talking about this, what would you say tools like low code or no code platforms play in shaping the industry?
More startups coming into picture, right? Low code tools. I was just talking about Wix, Odoo, or Zoho Creator. So it gives me, or somebody who is from non-tech, somebody who's from media, but he has an idea in his mind. He wants to build something. He has a no code platform where he can go and build a platform within, let's say, an hour or two, and he can show it to the investor, or he can show it to a company, so that you can build your prototypes very early. So that gives me ease of technology, that gives me ease of everything at one particular platform. So you just need to be equipped with a few tools, let's say a 1 hour or a 2 hour long video, and you're good to go with building a platform, basic version of platform. And once you do that, you can get a team and get things done.
But now that this is happening, should developers embrace this or be cautious about this?
Both at the same time. Cautious, embrace this, yes, they need to have AI at some point of time in their day-to-day life, day-to-day work, but at the same time cautious in terms of they need to stay relevant for quite a long time, right? So for staying relevant, they need to keep themselves up with whatever is happening in the market. How can they learn stuff quickly, and how can they build in more tools? It has given them access to think more innovatively. They just, for example, you want to start up in any particular field, just type in, a lot of ideas would come. Maybe how can you refine on those ideas? How can you save your time reading documentations and summarize it using AI? How can you write more efficient code? How can you find a bug that would have taken, let's say, 20 minutes? You can you can just give it to an AI model, it can help you find that bug in, let's say, a minute or so. So that's something that developers should embrace, and be cautious at the same time from the kind of advancements in terms of learning and upskilling themselves.
You know, you mentioned Wix.com twice. And it's funny that the first episode that we did here at the hot seat was with the India head of Wix.com, Mr. Varga Bakshi.
Oh,
A lovely person, great podcast we had. And I asked him the same question, and he said, we'll play the clip in the middle of the podcast as well, that he said developers need not be cautious of platforms like Wix.com. It's just that the first level of work is being done for them. And then they can hone it and make it even better.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? We talked about Wix, the platform like Wix could help solve the front end, basic front end, but there's so many things. User experience, for example, you can build an app like Swiggy, but you might not be able to have that kind of user experience, the kind of button that a human would press. AI might not be able to think that way. So still humans are required, but at the same time, the kind of work that, let's say there are 10 prototypes I want to create for a Swiggy website, AI can create for me. I don't need to spend time on it. Then we select one. So that's the kind of first layering that he mentioned, correctly mentioned. Saves time for developers like us.
What areas of coding do you think developers should explore to future-proof their careers? Say AI, quantum computing, blockchain.
See, any technology, there's a curve that happens, right? At some point of time, let's say 5 years, 10 years down the line, people are talking about blockchain. It was on the boom. Then it came down. Then people talked about AI ML. Then it came down. People talked about Web3, NFTs, and 2022, everyone was doing that. Then it came down. Then now we're talking about GenAI and stuff, right? So it is a trend. You just need to focus on one big thing, and you need to be in the top 1% of whatever you do, be it blockchain, be it quantum, be it AI. You need to, if you are in the top 1% of any of these fields, you would not be relevant. You will be able to, you will be employable in the industry, and you will eventually get work. So try to be in the top 1% of whatever you do.
Arsh, we are almost towards the end of the podcast. I just have 2-3 questions left for you. One question that I want to ask you is something that I've been very fascinated to ask you. How did content creation start for you? In short, if you can tell us.
So content creation, just figuring out, right? In 2020, 2021, there were not a lot of people who were telling about things. The thing that I started with was a hackathon experience, me coming from any college, and that hackathon, that company allowed each and everyone, there's not just me, but anyone from a tier 2, tier 3 college or a tier 1 college can participate in that hackathon, get to that opportunity. So I saw that gap. Why should companies only hire from tier 1 colleges? Why not tier 2, tier 3 colleges? So that gap led me to create that video that was there on my channel, and that's how it started. That I got traction, build some following over YouTube, over Instagram, over LinkedIn, and things have been going on for the past 2-3 years.
Can you give us 1 or 2 examples of your content which was able to make a huge difference in, say, somebody's career? Maybe somebody reached out to you or mentioned you in a comments or emails. Can you tell us one or two of those?
There's so many. I'll just mention something that I received. There's a mail that I got, let's say, a year back from a college in Shirdi, Maharashtra. Right, so I created a video, let's say 2 years back, for an internship opportunity in Canada. How can students from India get to this specific internship? They get a stipend, they get a fully sponsored flight, trips, stay there, and everything. There's a college in Shirdi. That college training and placement reached out to me. This is something our college students achieved, and when we asked them, so they told that they have watched your videos of the same internship and they got this internship. So they wanted to invite me in their college to give a session and felicitate those students. So I went there, I went to Shirdi, I got to hear from those 4 students. 4 students were selected from that college in which there were no placements, no companies used to come. And now aspirations of everyone in that college increase because they see that 4 students have already achieved. So that's the kind of change that you see the content can bring. A video that I created 2 years back in COVID, sitting at home, have given an opportunity to 4 students go to Canada. Now, like 2 of them are pursuing their masters in Canada again.
Wow.
So that has significantly changed. And not only this, there's so many stories of people getting into companies like Walmart, Goldman Sachs, Google, Microsoft. This is like I get to see a lot of tags on LinkedIn every single day. Somebody getting an internship, posting their first post day one of joining this company and mentioning the name that this guy has helped at some point of time. So you see that every day. You get a lot of DMs from people. So that is something you see the impact on ground in front of you. Here in Bangalore, I meet a lot of folks who got a job, who work around in these companies in a mall or a cafe. So I meet a lot of folks here. You see the impact on ground.
Absolutely amazing. School used to have this one question called one word answer. This is a one word answer question. 2 of your favorite content creators or content creators that you look up to, inspired by.
Mr. B, for India, it's Varun Maya and Ranveer Lavadia.
I need to ask this. How did Mr. Bean come to your head?
Mr. Beast, I was saying Mr. Beast.
Acha, Mr. Beast. I heard Mr. Bean. But great content Mr. Bean also had. I'm just kidding.
Mr. Beast, I was saying, whereas in Indian context, Ranveer and Varun at this point.
Okay. Final question before we let you go, Arsh. At Analytics India Magazine, we are hosting MLDS 2025, which is India's biggest developers summit. This summit is going to bring together the best of the minds in the industry from across the world to share insights, trends, and hands-on learning. As somebody who has a pulse on the developer community the way you do since the last 2-3 years, why do you think events like these are extremely vital for developers?
So it's very important. We just started the podcast with me attending 3 events, right, this week. So what was the takeaway from those 3 events is I got to connect with a lot of companies who can be my potential clients going forward. A lot of developers, a lot of my audience who gave me good feedback that can help me improve my content. And like, let's say this is from the point of view of a content creator, from the point of view of a developer. You get to talk to, for example, if you're a student, you go to an event like this, you get to meet to somebody who is from a tier 1 college in an IIT. You get to hear to them, you get to talk to them, you get to understand what is going on in an IIT. And maybe you can get in something from that guy. Or maybe you get to learn from the speakers in different fields, be it cloud, be it DevOps, be it MLDS. This is for machine learning. And if you're interested in something like this, I think there would be very relevant people who would be able to solve a lot of doubts in your head when it comes to deep tech, when it comes to AI, when it comes to computing. And this can be a great opportunity to network with people. Plus, if you network with people, they feel that you are a good fit, they would eventually want to hire you. So these can be forums for career opportunities for these folks also. So definitely, maybe not only this event, but any specific event that you feel is relevant to your field of study, to definitely go ahead and attend it.
Before we wrap up, Arsh, I want to ask you if there is 1 or say 2 pieces of advice that you would want to give to a budding developer, to a young developer. What would those be?
So try exploring things in college. Spend that time because you have a lot of time in college. Try exploring a lot of things and then choosing what you want to do in life. It's not just that everyone is built for coding, everyone is built for MLAI, everyone is built for cloud. There's so many other fields. If you're very creative, you can choose a field like product design or a UI UX engineer. So multiple other fields. Try exploring and try being more aware. Secondly, whenever you're learning something, right, learn at a pace that is suitable for you, right? Everyone is not the same. People are very confused if somebody is taking, let's say, 4 months to learn something or 2 months to learn something. You might take 6 months or 12 months, but you need to stay consistent. Don't just jump seeing others. It's very relevant, right? Because I am currently studying this. I see my friend doing this. I stopped this and I jumped on to the second part, right? But the learning pace would be different for anyone and everyone. Make sure everyone is different. You are different. So give that time. Everything, if you're learning something that can give you a job, it will take your time, it will take your patience. So you should be very, very patient. You should give that time and get that skill in you.
Arsh, I want to tell you that when we started the podcast, I was very sure that the viewers that we have, so many of the young developers and budding developer community that we have in the viewers, they will get some great takeaways from you. But I did not anticipate so much, starting from how to crack jobs, how to get internships, how to do things in college, how much developer summits can help, how much hackathons can help. My God, the amount of input that you have given for the developer community. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. How was the podcast for you?
Thank you so much. It was a great experience. I think we discussed and touched upon a lot of different things, from content to developer community to Nvidia Summit and multiple other experiences that I had. But loved talking to you. The kind of energy that you had was great. But yeah, cool. I think this would be, if somebody's watching, somebody's a developer, is an aspiring developer, is already into the industry, would be very, very useful if you use some of these insights. And thanking you once again for having me here. Thank you.
Absolutely our pleasure, Arsh. We are very, very sure that so many of those insights is going to help you as well. Tell us in the comments, how did you like this podcast? And of course, for more such exclusive content just like this, keep watching The Hot Seat by A Media House. This is me, your friend Korak. I will see you in the next one.